Greetings, everybody. How are you guys doing? Happy Sunday. I wanted to come in and talk about this age of Aquarius, this Sun in Aquarius energy, and how deep it is to be on the path of deconditioning yourself, the path of, like washing your consciousness out, right? And the thing that I am seeing so profoundly in my own experience, because the nodes are in Aries and Libra. So the nodes are the Dharma and karmic points. And so while Dharma is like your soul's purpose, and karma is like your life's lessons. That's what we're going to say that, right? So with the South Node in Libra, your life lessons around relationship and how you relate to this 3D reality are becoming more pronounced because we're being asked to shed an old way of being. And that old way of being is about relationships, money, beauty, relationships, like just you and one other person. It's like how you relate to others. So that is being recoded right now. And with the North Node in Aries, which is our Dharma, which is our purpose, right? Our soul's purpose, what we came here for. That is more, so as we shed that old way of being, then that energy gets transmuted into this new perspective, into this new way of being. And I'm going to tell y'all the thing that I see for myself as the greatest challenge in this work of really trusting myself, really holding myself above any other thing. My greatest challenge to it is Christianity. Now that I can see what we are really involved in here, and I'm remembering the programming of believing in Jesus Christ, somebody's coming to save you, give all your burdens to Jesus, give it all to Jesus, like really, and giving it away, but not processing it first, not getting clear about what your challenges really are. So for instance, not asking deep questions about your experience. There's something that I experienced in Christianity that seemed to kind of absolve me of my way of functioning, because it's like Jesus is going to take care of it, right? But Jesus can't take care of a raggedy mindset or or unworthiness or shame. Like Jesus cannot wash your fucking shame away. You don't even recognize that. Like I didn't even recognize that I was functioning from shame or unworthiness because the culture champions those relationships and those ways of being that flourish in oppression and capitalism. So everybody's full of shame. Everybody's hiding something. Everybody's really at odds with themselves. And so everybody, like I was looking for something outside of myself. Like Christianity forced me to look outside of myself for my wholeness, for my lovability, for my value. And it did it by giving me reasons to constantly be afraid of anything I did. Oh, this is a sin, and this is a sin, and this is a sin. Like all of that created this deep experience inside of me of not trusting my connection to the divine. And the thing that's most important as we move into the age of Aquarius is that you trust your connection, your direct connection, because nobody can save you. And that is what I'm learning. Like, as I'm in this experience, I'm learning that there is a compulsion inside of me to look outside of myself to be rescued, to feel safe. God, I need some water. To feel safe, through somebody else's awareness, through somebody else's strength. Feel safe through, let me get some water. To feel safe through someone else's knowledge, through someone else's affirmation. It's a very interesting thing, because we are programmed as women to seek our validation externally. And we are not going to make it if we cannot center ourselves in our reality and take responsibility. Because what I'm seeing is that in order to really connect to the divine, I have to be willing to go inside of myself. And we've been told all these things about God. Like, I've had to really get clear about my definition about what God is, how it functions, how I'm connected to it. Because all the things that I was taught about God are completely false. Like, all of it. None of it is true. Like, all of these Abrahamic religions are about externalized, like this external experience. And there is no God outside of us. And it is a trip to realize, like, how deep the conditioning. So Christianity is just one of the things that really helped me formulate this idea that I wasn't enough, that I was a sinner, that something is wrong with me, that God is evil, God is jealous. So Christianity created these codes, this conditioning inside of me that made me at war with myself in this deep way. You shouldn't have sex, like literally, and feeling like I need to perform in a certain way to have God's love. And that created a cycle, a vicious cycle within me of always seeking but never finding. And I'm saying that is not what God is. And I don't know if other people have that. Does this make sense to other people? Does this make sense to you? And if it, I just wanted to share, because it's so important. The most important thing that I'm discovering is that belief in self over everything else. Belief in yourself is the most important thing that you have. Knowing yourself, self-knowledge, is the most important thing that you can have. And when we're giving off our life force energy to Jesus Christ, that means you cannot divide yourself. You can't be divided that way. And I'm telling you guys, all of these Abrahamic religions, this is all mythology. It's like, and now I understand why they say you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. The scariest thing I ever did was leave the Christian church. It's the scariest thing I ever did, because they had convinced me of hell. That's why I had been convinced of hell. And I was suffering. Like, I was just at odds with myself all the time. And when I started to study and realize that hell is not a place, that it doesn't exist, that it's a state of mind, it's a consciousness, you can't explain this stuff to anybody. You sound crazy. You sound crazy for saying it's not real in a world where everyone is convinced that it is. And so I have had to do my own work and then create other environments so that I can have these conversations with other people who resonate, because it sounds crazy. Yes, that's right. That's right. It was betraying your inner authority. And your inner authority is all you got. That's what I'm trying to say. If you don't believe in yourself, you're lost. And here's why. Because the universe is a blank page. It is a blank page. And if you paint on your blank page that somebody else has power over you, that's what you're going to experience. You're going to experience not having any authority, not having any power, not being able to create what you really desire, insecurity, anxiety, not trusting yourself, because you will constantly be believing that you got to believe and you got to do this. And it's such a trip, because as I've studied who Christ was, who Jesus was, the way I see Christians function, that's not who Jesus was. Jesus was unconditionally loving. Absolutely. Jesus would sit with the prostitute and be like, yo, what's up? You know what I mean? And then Jesus would sit with the saint and be like, hey, how you doing? How's that thing? And like, Jesus was not how Christians function. I can't speak for all Christians, but what I'm seeing and experiencing, and I understand it, because I was the kind of Christian that believed I had to be a certain way. I had to believe a certain way. I had to behave a certain way. I couldn't be myself in order to have God's love. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. This thing we call God is neutral. It's neutral. It's a blank page. It's whatever you put on it. So if you put on that page that you got to believe in somebody else in order to access heaven, then that's the story you're creating for yourself. But that's not true. That's not the real true story. And so I'm so aware that I spent so much time being taught that a Messiah was coming, that the rapture, and I'm like, wow, like that stuff is not that's not happening. Like, it's an internal thing. And like I said, it's not about convincing anybody of anything, because it is what it is. But it's such an interesting thing to begin to see reality begin to unfold for me, and I get to see what it really is. The symbols, the numerology, and, and seeing that we live in a world that's all really based on code. This is a coded reality, and it's coded through the energy. And, how do you explain that to people who are Christians and think that they need to, like people gotta live it their way. But my point is, as we move into this age of Aquarius, people who are believing that their power and authority is outside of them, we're going to really be watching people suffer, because that reality is drying up. And your consciousness is really becoming king. We used to be in this kind of collective group consciousness where we were in the age of a Pisces, and it was all, we went to the same schools. We all learned the same stuff in the 10th grade. If you were Christian, this is you know what I mean? It's all this sort of sameness. And so because we all had this collective agreement, things functioned as they did. But now the age of Aquarius says that is no longer. That is no longer. It's literally like, when you're playing a game as a child and then everybody is out. Like, everybody is out of that game. That construct is collapsing. And so where does it collapse? It collapses in consciousness, in our minds. Like people, like just the way people, I remember when 8-track tapes were the thing that we used. And 8-track tapes still work, but the technology keeps getting better. So we don't use technology that way anymore. And that's what's going to happen to this reality. The politicians, the powers that be, they're just going to become extinct, outdated. And so, because so many of us are going to wake up to the fact that there is a collective God. There's a collective consciousness, right? But it's not what we've been told it was. So we're going to watch those realities come undone. And so those people that believe it are going to suffer. They're going to have a hard time. We're going to really watch it. And the reason I know it, because I'm unweaving it inside of myself, and it's so intimate, it's so deep, it's so internal. And the reason that I'm able to see it and understand it is because I follow the code, which is the astrology. Astrology is a part of the code. And so I'm able to see I should be doing this now according to the code, according to what's going on. And I see there's a part of me that's we're really behind. We're behind. They've had us trapped in a reality for a really long time. And people are going to suffer because of it. People are going to suffer because of it. And so, my prayer is just that we are loving ourselves, that we are being compassionate with ourselves, and that we're taking care of ourselves. And it's important that you do what you need to do to take care of yourself, so that you can witness yourself and get support, because we believe in a lot of shit that's lies, okay? We believe in a lot of lies, and you have to unravel yourself through that stuff, because it's what we were taught. It's what we believed, right? We were conditioned in a culture that said white people were superior, and now we're realizing that that's a lie. So we're about to watch a lot of white people lose their shit. And I have so much compassion, because they're taught it in gestation, you know what I mean? And then they live it out in the culture. And so now we're going to watch that reality crumble. We're going to watch the reality of these religions crumble, because they're not going to experience what they thought. They don't understand that it's inside of them. So because they're looking for something to happen external, they're going to begin to suffer. You know what I mean? It's like realizing that you believed in something that's not real. It's like being married to somebody and you realize he was lying all along. It's like that. It's like that. So we're going to be watching people really have a hard time with what is really real. And so it's important for us to do our own work, to love ourselves, because folks gonna need help. Folks are going to need help. Folks are going to need help. And, and so it takes those of us who are taking care of ourselves to be able to help other people see a new way through and come into new understanding and evolve out of the very immature ways of being that would have us believe in a sky god, a sky daddy, and so the more of us that can mature ourselves and begin to really wake up to who we are for real, right? To what it really means to be in a human body, and begin to live it, then others will see that what is possible. And the greatest thing is recognizing that the only thing that is happening is you. The only thing that is happening in your life is what you believe about yourself. Ain't nobody ever done nothing to you. You agreed to it. You participated in it. You orchestrated it. It's your story. It's your experience. And the more we don't believe, like what I've discovered is the more that I don't believe in myself, the more that I think somebody did something to me, the more that I tell myself I'm a victim of something, the more the universe gives me that, because that's the story I'm telling. The more I think my mama should have done this, or my daddy, or my ex-husband did this, or like the more I have it that somebody, white people did this, and the more I have it that it is outside of my power, the less power I have. But the more I go, why would I create a story or a reality where Black people are suppressed and oppressed and hated? Why would I do that? Why would I create that reality? The more I ask the question from those perspectives and take full responsibility of it, and then the universe says, here's somebody who's willing to hold the duality. To hold the duality. The shadow. And what Christianity did, Christianity said that there is a devil. And that devil is out to get you. And it's and so in Christianity, I could never love the darkness within me. I was always, that's sin, that's wrong, and the more you deny your nature, the more you are going to suffer. The more you deny your nature. That's why you see people, in church denying their own sexual nature, and then it turns out that they're gay because they've been denying, but they've been doing because that's a sin. That's not true. It's not true. The story of sin is made up. Sin is so unique and individual. I'm not saying it's just, sin is not knowing yourself. That's the only thing that sin is. It's just not knowing who you really are. So when you don't know who you really are, you're not functioning the way you are meant to function. You can't. You cannot be who God has created you to be if you don't know yourself and if you don't believe in yourself. And that's the sin. That you have this incredible technology. You're born into a human existence. You can do incredible things, but you don't even know what those things are. You don't have a clue. You don't have a clue. That's right. Sin is betraying yourself. You don't have a clue what you can do because you've been functioning and studying the life of Jesus Christ and the Bible. You don't know shit about yourself. Because when things come up, you run from it. You are, like, you shouldn't have sex before marriage. That was a big one for me. Nobody taught me about my sexual nature. Nobody explained to me. Nobody helped me ask questions so that I could understand my nature, my sexual nature. Not run from it, not shame, not be disgusted, not be at odds with it, because anything you resist persists. So the very thing that I'm at odds with, which is the function of God within me to procreate, to make life, to access the divine, I'm at odds with that? I cannot win against that. If I'm at odds with that part of myself, I'm at odds with all that there is, because that is the creative force moving through me. And so I'm told, don't do it. It's like, that's wrong. That's a sin. That's no explanation. And that just puts us at odds with ourselves. So I really encourage you all to really take care of yourselves and begin to really deconstruct your mind. Why you believe what you believe, and question it and come up with new shit. Seriously. Come up with new ideas about what you believe, because everything we've been taught is a lie. All of it is a lie. All of it. And it's not hard to say. I'm grateful to say it out loud, but I know that people don't get it. And that's all good. It is what it is, because people are going to quickly begin to start reaping the reality of their own consciousness. People are going to start reaping the reality of their own belief systems. And if you believe that you're a sinner, your sins are about to take you over. If you believe that you need to have this in order to be, that shit is going to dominate you. Like, people are about to start reaping their own mindsets really, really fast, because it has to come up to be clear. So, let's take care of ourselves. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be responsible for ourselves and our feelings. Let's love ourselves. Love your shadow. Do your shadow work. Literally just do the best you can to love yourself and show up for yourself. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. I love you. Bye-bye.